The series I was asked to speak on this month is Transcending Karma. Last week we went over what karma means. Karma literally means action. And with all action, all materially motivated action, there will always be a reaction that is absolutely unavoidable. And there's a big problem with that. And the big problem is that it binds us to the material world and material existence, and we become obliged to experience the consequences or the result of all action. You cannot avoid it. These are natural laws that are literally inescapable. So I'll just read a verse in that regard. It's in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. And he states that to the discriminating yogi, all the fruits of past actions, both pleasurable and painful, are considered sorrowful because they result in further bondage and suffering for the living being. So you may have a plan of how you're going to become happy and enjoy life. What we're never prepared for is the consequences of all of our actions. The science of yoga is a science to empower you and I to take control of our life, to determine the direction of our life, and to act in ways that result in great happiness. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it states that the indestructible and transcendental living entity, that's you or I, the person within the body, the living being within. This indestructible living entity is called Brahman. This means spirit. And his eternal nature is called the self. We could go on all night just on these two little statements. You know, we falsely consider the body we have on, of course, to be who we are, and it's not true. We identify this body as our self. We seek fulfillment, happiness, love, perfection through the agency of this body, considering it to be everything. And it's just, that's crazy town. It's crazy town because this thing, it goes through growth, youthfulness. It reaches a peak and begins to wither. It grows old and becomes diseased. And whether you like it or not, you will be forced to leave. This is called death. And we spend almost the entire period of what we call our life lost in something that is factually an illusion, not connecting to our true self, not being aware of our true self, being lost in the illusion of the body as being the self. This is considered the formula for unhappiness. So as stated, the indestructible transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called the Self. And actions pertaining to the development of these material bodies is called karma. So here it's fundamentally stating that the reason that you have a body is because of previous action. It is the actions that you undertake in this lifetime that will determine what happens after death, the nature of the body that you will get. So of course, when we look at the topic of karma, it's just like, it just opens this can of worms. Like the big question, so what's the purpose? What is the purpose of life? What is my actual purpose? I can develop all kinds of temporary purposes connected and associated with the body, but that will all pass when the body passes. But I continue to exist. I am eternal. So do I have an eternal purpose? And it was understood that the actual purpose of this human form of life is spiritual liberation. Don't lose the plot. Don't go down all the rabbit holes. Don't go chasing that which can never deliver the goods that you seek. So then the big question is, if it is because of karma, material action, that I become bound to this world, that I develop bodies one after the other, that I develop desire, that I become deeply conditioned, then where's the off-ramp? Is there an off-ramp? Or am I just caught on this hamster wheel where it's all just going to, I'm endlessly running, and it's just going around and around. The hamster wheel of material life. In Sanskrit, this was called samsara. The cycle of repeated birth and death, of repeated material experience, sometimes enjoyable, often not, and with much suffering attached also. Is there an off-ramp? The off-ramp was provided in the form of what was identified as karma yoga. Karma yoga had to do with learning to develop another focus for your life, a different focus in terms of the actions that you will perform. You know, is this too philosophical, or no? We're good with this. We're good? Okay. Actually, the whole science of karma, the whole science of happiness, the science of how we become bound to this world and material existence is really amazing, and it's really profound, where this is just like a crash course. And so there are different paths of yoga. They all fundamentally lead in the same direction. And some of them help a person go from one state to a higher state, which then creates the opportunity for something more wonderful, more incredibly wonderful. Karma yoga is such a step. For a person that finds themselves very much entangled We become deeply conditioned by ideas that are fed to us by society, and now, of course, social media and advertising in general. We're deeply programmed. We don't even understand how deeply programmed we are. It usually takes something, a bit of a shock in our life to sort of bring that to the forefront. Karma Yoga provided an off-ramp. It taught people how to develop a new way of looking at their life, to cultivate a more meaningful, purposeful existence, to engage in things that actually bring about transformation and begin to awaken within us, a deeper appreciation of our actual spiritual identity. And it had a great deal to do with stepping outside our self-centered world. In fact, it had everything to do with stepping outside of our self-centered world. We don't even appreciate how self-centered we are. It's all about me. It's all about me and what I want, what I think is cool, what I think is going to deliver on the goods. All decisions I make I spent a good part of my life also in connection with my practices in my life. Of course, I was married and had a family, and I engaged in different types of business for the sake of supporting a family, but more importantly, to generate money that could be used for helping others. And one of the things I learned is that when it comes to money, you can't trust anyone. No one. Even the nicest, sweetest person, with a few rare exceptions, are not trustworthy. And when I say that, somebody approaches you, can I borrow money? How much do you need? $20,000. What are you going to do with it? They tell you. And they promise you faithfully, look, I've known you for years, you know me, I'm really dependable, I promise I can show you how I'm going to pay this back, and I promise I'm going to really do it. And they actually mean it. They actually mean it. But then, 2 days before they're due to pay you back, and they've got the money, one of their kids is involved in a serious accident and requires surgery. And they've got to pay for it. You think they're going to pay you back? I mean, I'm not expecting them to. I'm not expecting or demanding that they do. But the promise is gone, right? It's gone. And it has a lot to do with our idea of what is important is very much centered around my conception of who I am. So quite a few months back when we did a series about the purpose of life, I read a few things that were, it's put out by an organization called Actions for Happiness. They've got a website, actionsforhappiness.org. And at first I thought it was going to be a bit cheesy, and I really looked at it and it kind of blew my mind. There are a bunch of academics in the UK, sociologists, psychologists. There's no religious thing to it whatsoever. This is just hard science. And they developed four things that people need to adopt in their life to become happy. And one of them that they stated, helping others is essential for a happier society. And then the subtext to that was, self-centered individualism is not the route to happiness. They're not just saying this, it's not some new agey, whimsical thing. This is based on data. This is based on observation and interviews and really getting into people's lives and how people live. Helping others is of course good for their happiness, but it also makes us ourselves happier and healthier too. Giving connects us together, provides us with a sense of meaning, and makes us more accepting of ourselves and of others. It creates stronger communities and helps to build a happier society for everyone. So I'm raising that just, because now I'm going to tell you the yogic perspective, the spiritual perspective. And it completely in line what these guys have found out through their experience and observation, through scientific methods, that there is a deep spiritual reality to it. And what I've just read out is like the doorway into the world of karma yoga, where we begin to develop another focus in life, a focus that is about giving rather than taking. And even if we do this for superficial or sentimental reasons, within this seed lies the possibility of great spiritual understanding and spiritual growth. The great Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, over 500 years ago, he made a really quite amazing statement. He stated that for one who has taken birth as a human being, they should make their life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. So this is just like a little summary. His teachings are deeply profound and really amazing. But there's two things that you need to be focused on. One is yourself, understanding what is the actual purpose of human existence. And when I try to live a more spiritual life, when I can actually live a deeply spiritual life, then I am achieving what is actually the deep and spiritual purpose for all beings. And the second part of that is to work for the benefit of others. And then he goes on to explain, it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with their life, wealth, intelligence, and with words. By his work, thoughts, and words, an intelligent person must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. So now, wow, that's just like we've moved the needle here big time. Instead of just, it's okay, it's not an either-or situation. We have a certain category of people that think, oh, I don't have to worry about somebody's material suffering or their difficulty because that's their karma. They're experiencing the fruit of some karma. There was a gentleman a couple of weeks ago from Vietnam that spoke about that, asked that question, because in their upbringing, there was a certain Buddhistic view that certain people had, that if they saw somebody crash on their bike, they just go, they're reaping the fruit of their karma, and just go on. That's their problem, that's their trip. And I shouldn't have to worry about that. And that is completely a misapplication, a misunderstanding of karma and the laws of karma. There is a great need for us to cultivate a spirit of compassion, of actually being able to empathize, to actually know what the suffering of another is like, to internalize that, to consider it, to be able to, be deeply empathetic with the suffering of everyone. And if I have this idea, oh, that's their bad karma, and it's got nothing to do with me, then I'm about as far away from any spiritual understanding as you can get. While it is true that the laws of karma make it so that you will experience the result, the fruit of all your actions at some point, sometime, somehow, somewhere. I should never be apathetic. I should never be callous to the suffering of another living being, any living being. I should not be callous. I cannot make progress spiritually. I cannot come to any platform of spiritual liberation if I am callous to the suffering of others. It is required. But I also, within this message, there is this warning. I should not only be focused on that which is external and temporary. Somebody is hungry, I can give them something to eat. Is that enough? No, it's not. The great saintly teachers, their heart was in this realm where they saw anyone and everyone as being either currently suffering or in the future they will be suffering simply by being bound up in the material world. And so I should feel empathy. I should feel great sorrow for the material condition. And I should pay attention both to the current needs of the body, but I must also pay attention to the needs of the soul. This is far more important. If I can actually help someone on a spiritual level as well as on a material level, then I am engaged in the highest of welfare work. The path of Karma Yoga begins with caring about others, even caring about yourself, your actual self. That will lead to the sharing out of empathy and compassion. Sharing your time, your energy, some money, doing something for the welfare of others. The focus here is rather than being just about me and me wanting to take, it's all about me. It's all about what I'm going through right now, and I want to alleviate my own unhappiness or my boredom, or I want to, scratch the itch. And so I'm looking to take. There is this need to begin this shift to something that is far more aligned with my eternal spiritual nature. It is the nature of the living being to both love and to serve. Serve's become a bad word. Everybody's gone into this big take thing. And that's crap. You go down that road, you can't find happiness. You can take everything and you will be deeply unhappy. And so in the process of karma yoga, there was this conscious attempt daily, as part of my meditation, as part of my sadhana, my daily practice, was to seek to serve. And the doorway into service was to serve others. But then I had to consider, is there a higher expression of service? And of course the answer is yes. That is when I become deeply connected, not just with all other life, all other living beings, but also with the highest truth, the Supreme Soul. So Karma Yoga provides not only a doorway and a beginning, it actually leads one to the highest transcendental position where a person will learn how to live in this world in such a deep mood of love and service, of giving, that they attain the liberated state, a state of complete self-realization and God-realization. And so this process of karma yoga, learning how to make an offering of your time, it's quite often easier for people to connect that with those in their immediate environment. But there is also a need to grow that. So that's about as far on the subject as we're going tonight. And next week, we'll take it to its conclusion. How to actually transcend karma. How to be able to live in this world and not be bound by the actions that we take. To become free from suffering. Anybody have any question? We okay with this? I was going to do a little bit lighter and fluffier, but I can't do that. We're going all the way here. Yeah.
Can you explain the samsara, the wheel of
Samsara?
Yeah.
So it's samsara, the wheel of repeated birth and death. Fundamentally, whatever is the state of your consciousness at the time of death, it will determine the nature of what will happen. Until a person has come to the platform of complete spiritual realization in existence, if we are maintaining material desires, then we will be obliged to accept another body, a body where we can try to fulfill those desires. If we have acted in a very degraded way, we can head down a long way. We can enter lower life forms, and it's based on the understanding that in this world there are only two types of energy. There is a material energy and a spiritual energy. life is a manifestation of the existence of this spiritual energy. Anything that is manifesting symptoms of life, it is because of the presence of the Atma, the spiritual being. But the spiritual being can be covered by all varieties of what we call life forms. The human form of life was considered superior to all because you have a special faculty. You can ask why. And in the human form, the nature of the soul itself, the spiritual being, is more readily observable. In lower species, it's not so observable. Like when you look at a herd of cows, they don't look like people. There's no manifestation of personality. If you have one as a pet, or if you have a herd of cows and you take care of them, you milk them every day and talk to them and hang out with them, you'll see that they have different personalities. I mean, this is what happens when people get pets, a dog. You know, you got two dogs that are completely different. I mean, completely different personalities. They react to things differently, but it's not easily observable, unlike with the human form, very easily observable. And so, based upon the state of consciousness and the nature of the desires, what you're deeply attracted to at the time of death, it will determine what type of body you will get. And with that body comes heaps of baggage. For every action that you perform, there will be a reaction. Much of it you will experience in this lifetime, but not everything that you do, you will experience necessarily the result in this lifetime. It can carry over. It goes with you. And so when people are born in different countries with a different gender, a different type of consciousness, different levels of intelligence, different social and economic situations, different intellectual capacities, all of those things are a rollover of karma, the reaction of past activity. And so on this wheel, this samsara, when a person attains the human form of life and does not utilize it to seek their actual spiritual liberation, if they waste it, particularly becoming deeply animalistic in their living, they head down through different species. And after so much time, and automatically, they again come rising to the top of this wheel and again attain a human form. You don't have to buy into this. You don't have to accept this. This is a reality as taught within the realm of the Vedas and yogic texts. And for some people it deeply resonates. Yeah, I understand that. Others, they may say, I'm not buying it. That's okay. Don't worry about that part. You can put that one in the cupboard. But the stuff that I'm telling you about learning to be more generous of heart, to be less self-centered. Everybody, I mean, these guys, just that scientifically, it's a proven fact that when you live this way, you do become happier. You will experience a higher degree of contentment. And to help you do that, this process of meditation using spiritual sound is deeply transformative. Over time, it will completely change you from the inside out. Guaranteed. That'll be an experience that you will have, a reality that you will experience yourself. So it is not a belief system, it is a very practical reality. Okay, are we good with that? So then let's do some of that chanting stuff. I will chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Hari Om.